What is going down, YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and before we get into the video, one thing I want to tell you is, if you are just starting this game and you are under level 15, make sure you're using my promo code. Down in the description of my video is a link if you're just finding this channel for the first time. Click that link to download Dragon Champions on iOS or Android. Once you do that, click the cog setting, wrong way, right there above me. Click that cog setting. Inside the cog setting, you are going to see the use promo code. Make sure you're clicking on that. When you're in the promo code, type in XMG gift. Hit the OK button and get $10 worth of free stuff. So with that being said, my YouTube family, enjoy the free stuff. Help support the channel. I love y'all. Enjoy the video. What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and we are here for the next installment of Worst to First. We're going to do 70 through 61 in this. And the first video, thank you to everybody who watched and commented in that video. Super cool to see. I love reading other people's thoughts and feelings on champions. Sometimes they sway me this way or that. You know, and like I always say, this is just simply my rankings. If you want to find out how I'm ranking these characters, please check out the first video and it'll explain it all there. And we don't want to waste any time. Trying to keep these videos as short as I possibly can. So let's jump into the list. Number 70 is Puncherface. Now, Puncherface is an oldie but goodie, and just because he's number 70 doesn't mean he isn't useful. Puncherface is very useful in the early game, and it's because of his Earthquake ability. You know, here at tier 7, he deals 260 damage and applies taunt for 2 turns to all enemies. So as long as you pass that potency tenacity check, it's a good way to get around. You know, in the early game, as I'm experiencing in my free-to-play series, you're seeing a lot of double tank teams, things like that. Very good way to get around it. But other than that, Puncherface really doesn't offer too much. Now, his damage is still kind of, I'm at gear 13 unruined, he's at 3785. Still below average when compared to other gear 13 characters. His demonic haste, he gets 30 speed, but it's just to himself, so he doesn't really do a lot to benefit other characters, and that's why he falls out. His plug and play viability is rough. I mean, he can do some great damage of not in your face, but again, he's getting haste and a damage increase only to himself. Very frustrating, very selfish character, you know. But just because he's 70, I would use him, you know, above all these other characters because of that one niche move, but it's got to be used in the right spot. There's times where it screws you up because you're thinking you're going to put it on and you're going to go after the healer or horde orc and he resists it, and then you got to wait for all these other ones to drop. So very, very niche move. Puncherface, 70. I think it's a good spot for him. 69, dudes. Mar. Mar is an oldie but goodie, and he can do some damage, and he's got some really cool moves. But you're never going to use Mar, really, unless it's a tournament outside of an orc comp. He really has no plug-and-play viability. I mean, you can if you don't have any other AoE damage dealers. But the main reason people use him is simply not that move, is this move here. No. Again, not that move. This move. This will hurt real bad. 280 physical damage to all enemies. At level 7, you need to deal 4 crit hits, and it resets the cooldown on it. So you can spam this AoE. Very, very cool. You want to get accuracy up on this guy, but still, it's only 280. So doing this over and over again, you're going to do decent damage. I mean, gear 13, he's only 3608. He does more damage for the percent of health he is losing. So keep that in mind. And then he gives himself a damage, crit chance increase, crit damage increase for 2 turns and 60% turn meter. Really, really good. He's really cool to play around with, and there's nothing really, well, there's a couple more things that are satisfying, but it's super satisfying when you get this hurt real bad move and it crits and then it comes back around and it crits again. If you put him with somebody like a Yogi buff who can swap turn meter and just constantly pump that out, really, really cool. But again, you need all 4 of those crits to land, so you get as much crit chance on this guy as you possibly can. Going to gear 13 does help that, but again, Mar, outside of the orc faction and or race and the tournaments, he falls off. And he can still be played around with and messed around with, but there's other people out there who are AoE damage dealers that deal way more damage than Mar. 68, my free-to-play hero, Sharp, and there's things I really like about Sharp, but his kit is, and it's his kit, but everything else is just so dang underwhelming. He really struggles to kind of get things going. He is hard to keep alive, but he does offer this critical thinking move. He gains a crit chance increase and an accuracy increase and applies it to all allies for 2 turns. Very unselfish, doesn't have to be order, doesn't have to be elves. So this can benefit a lot of people, and I've really grown to appreciate Sharp more now that tournaments are out, because he can be sneaky good, but there's, again, you're not looking for Sharp. It's just if you know, I want to play around on a team, I put him in. Now he does help out in the raids, which is a little bit why he's above, because he has a triple hitter with his wombo combo and a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty cool. And what I really like here on his level 8 is if you hit all 3, it restores 60% of his turn meter. But they got to be crits, right? So a lot of caveats, but he can offer some good things to the team, more than the people I've listed above or below him. So that's why he falls there. He isn't the worst character in the game, but he's bottom 3rd, and that's where I put him. 67, and 67 is Shaolin. Shaolin continues to prove me wrong. I'm finding more and more use for him and finding out he's better and better. But again, I can't put him above where I have him, because there's people out there that do what he does better. He deals 1 more damage for every 2% of his health, and additional 25% at full health, which is really good. His tier 7s and tier 8s really help this guy out. You know, he attacks random enemies targets 7 times. I like this move, and I don't like this move. 1, each attack deals 125, right? They did this because there's always a chance. It's like Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance it could hit the same target 7 times. They don't want it to be devastating. But we're seeing AoEs that can do like 480. I just rather have this be an AoE that does like 400. Now, this is huge for raids, which is why I have him where he's there as well. And he's one of only 2 characters that offer self-control, which is a huge ability. But he only gives it to himself. He gives a lot of good stuff here. Regeneration, crit chance increase, and self-control. Only to Shaolin. I do love how his basic recovers health. But they gotta be below 50%. Why can't he just recover 15% health? Is 15% health really gonna make or break Shaolin? No, take out that caveat, just give him 15% health recovery. He's still extremely squishy, his damage isn't exorbitantly high, but having the self-control, the 7 hits, and if you build him properly, he can do some damage. Still slow as slow could be, but I think Shaolin is finding a home in that bottom 3rd, mid to top of the bottom 3rd. 66, Mega Wheel. Mega Wheel isn't the worst tank, but he's not the best tank. And that's why I got him on this bottom 3rd. He's more, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, he's more of a damage dealing tank. I mean, look at these stats at gear 13. I mean, we're over 110,000 health and shield combination. Physical damage, 3528. Shaolin was at like 3650. So 130 difference. Yes, obviously he's going to do more damage, but for a tank, that is amazing. I'm trying to find out a comp with demons where Mega Wheel is kind of a secondary faux damage dealing tank, and he's underrated because people can sleep on him because they don't expect him to do that much damage. You know, here upon suffering a critical hit or being healed by Xantari gains torment, right? For 3 turns, plus an extra 30% for 1 more stack. Each stack of torment increases his armor and tenacity by 5%. You build that up on him and he is damn near impossible to kill. then he can come through with an AoE 220 to all damage plus an additional 25% for each stack of torment. This guy has 8 stacks of torment on him. That's massive amount of damage. And his damage isn't that much lower than Shaolin's. You know, his taunting mechanism is whatever. You know, you can use it right away, I get it, but it's on a 3-turn cooldown, only lasts 2 turns. And then his basic is okay, but if that AoE is devastating and people sleep on him because of that. Like I said, he's not the worst tank, but he's not the best. Very fair spot here for Mega Wheel. 65 is Slinger, and How the Mighty Have Fallen. Slinger was one of the best characters upon release. The only reason he's not, for me, in the bottom 5 is because he has a leadership. And it's every time an ally suffers a critical hit, all allies recover 5% of their turn meter. It's the only reason. His dispelling was removed, which was silly because we were lacking dispels. He gains damage increase, crit chance, crit damage at the end of his turn for 2 turns, so it can be removed. He's only giving it to himself. 300 physical damage to all enemies. If they have taunt, they do more. Horrible. I just hate what they did to his kit. Removes 2 buffs on a critical hit. Okay, that could be decent, but we went from a potential mass dispel to solitary target 2 buffs. You're not doing anything with that. And that's the only thing he's got going for him. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So once you use it, it's done. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense. His basic 50% chance to decrease the target's turn meter by 10% at level 7? Buff does it all the time. I'm not saying it has to be on par with Buff at 100%, but make it 80. 75. His kit is just so bad, and if it wasn't for his leadership, he would go way down, and that sucks because Slinger was one of my favorite characters in the game. If you go back and watch some of my first ranking videos, I think I had Slinger number 1. It sucks. 64 Radash, and Radash, I like Radash, for some reason I just do, but he's not very good. And for a couple reasons. His AoE here ability, this one's okay. Inflicts burning upon slowed enemies. You pair him under the Shadar lead. He was built to go with Shadar. Without Shadar, he's just not very good. Here, he has a 75% of chance of inflicting slow and burning for 2 turns. It's so pivotal to his kit, but this is the move I don't like. Removes all debuffs and inflicts them upon random enemies for the same duration. Sounds amazing, right? If Radash is affected by less than 2 debuffs, removes 1 debuff from each allied demon and inflicts them, right? So he's pulling off debuffs from other demons, and then he's healing himself, restores 40% turn meter. Sounds great. What if somebody doesn't have a debuff? I know it's damn near impossible in this day and age, right? But I'm saying, sometimes you'll use this because he's so freaking squishy, you gotta heal yourself. And then you lose that. I wish this here removes all debuffs. Let's just say he removes 1 debuff from demon targets. Put that as his passive. I mean, Hard Orc dispels on his passive. Why couldn't he do the same thing for demons? Because here increases lifesteal by 5 and speed by 3 for every slow enemy. It's okay. How much better would he be if that was his passive and then he just had an AoE that healed for magic damage? Would have been a lot better. He doesn't work like he should, and he doesn't play like he should. At least for me. So maybe if I'm doing something wrong, you let me know. But that's where I got Shadar. And Radash. Because he really needs Shadar. That's what was in my head. I was going to say that. And I screwed it up. 63 Xantera. Xantera is the other half of the Mega Wheel. And she's good. And I don't think she's underrated. But there's so many better healing options out there, right? And it's because I don't like how she here has to sacrifice her own health. Gains 7% shield equal to of maximum health for each living demon in the party. Okay, that could be really good to help keep her alive, but still, maybe you're not always pairing her or plug and play. She's kind of got to be in that faction. The synergy with her and Mega Wheel is really, really good. But you look at other really good synergies in the game. Eric Shieldbreaker and Garrett. You can play them both separately and have no problem. Nightiel Solius. You can rip them apart and play them however you want, right? Mega Wheel Xantera, not so much. I mean, you could, but you're not going to be as effective, and she just hasn't stood the test of time. She still has a very good passive in my ability. I love Demonic Metabolism, where she restores 1 turn of a random ability at the start of her turn, restores 1 turn to 2 random allies' abilities. Really like this. It's just a fun, neat little passive, and she can make battles go super good, and you're like, she is the best healer in the world, and it's because she hit all your mass AoEs cooldowns on your 2 most important characters for that match. Then you're going to use her again and be like, what is going on? But it's a fun little caveat. Her with Mega Wheel, great combination, but she used to be the best healer in the game, and I can't put her any more than where I have her now. 62 is Falia, and could Falia be one of my most overrated characters? I think so. The more I use her, the more I just grow not to like her. She's just abundantly squishy. She has too much, if this happens, then this happens. So let's start with her passive, and maybe you'll understand. Increases magic damage by 25%. Great. At the start of the battle, she receives regeneration for each defender and healer in the party, so she's got some plug-and-play viability. If Singeal is an ally, 100% of health regenerated above maximum is converted to shield. Great. Great. But she needs regeneration. She's got to have somebody with regeneration. Deals 280 magic damage to all enemies. Inflicts damage decrease for 2 turns. Awesome. And then she inflicts slow on goblins for 2 turns. If that was days, she'd be overpowered. But again, you can't reap the benefit, at least off the last 2 moves, without having something else there. 290 magic damage to an enemy, and then change to 2 random enemies. Damage is halved. Inflicts stack of poison on the main target, and additional target for 2 turns. Okay, so that move doesn't have any caveats, but you're only doing 290 at tier 7 on 1 target. Mordoom's doing like 400 on his basic to 1 target. You're telling me you couldn't make that 320? Because then the next target is getting what? 145? And the next target's only going to get 82% of magic damage? It at least should be 300. I don't like it. And then here, and this is why everybody wants to use her, and I've used her to great success, but 270 magic damage to an enemy deals an additional 30% magic damage for each stack of regeneration on failure. Okay, this needs to get moved to here, and inflict slow on goblins should be on our basic. When you build up all those regenerations and you can only attack 1 target, Tubald can do it. Talius can do it. And they can do it just as effectively with her as 8 stacks of regeneration. Maybe not 8, but you know what I'm saying. And they don't need all those other caveats to get the rest of their kit. So, that being said, I overrated Falia, and maybe I'm too low on her now. I'm sure I'll hear it on this one. Number 61 is Stim. And Stim, and I'll get to this a little bit later, and I don't... Stim can be broken. Let's just get it out of the way. Stim can be broken. But I don't want to... What I don't really like about Stim, loses charge upon taking damage. He's a tank. If lost at least 10% of charge, he gains 3% maximum health. Great, he's healing himself, right? 20% maximum health. If Stim has taunt and no more than 30% charge, he gains 15% charge instead. I don't like that part. It doesn't play as well as you want it to. Because really, if he has taunt And you don't want him to get that extra charge. If he has taunt, he's losing life. And he's getting hit constantly, so it's never going to really be there. Doesn't really make sense to me. He gains taunt for 1 turn and consumes 25% charge. For each 25% charge consumed, he prolongs the effect of taunt for 1 turn. Right? And then gain shield equal to 35% of his maximum health. That part's awesome. But you're going to have such a problem. It reads so cool. But you're going to have such a problem increasing taunt. Because very rarely are you going to be able to have 50 charge up. You're going to struggle at times to have 25% charge up. So keep that in mind. Now, with the new dwarf leader coming out, that could change things around, but as it stands right now, it's a very frustrating mechanic. Deals 200% of physical damage, consumes 10% charged. So again, you're depleting your own charge, and a damage decrease, that's pretty cool. But you're depleting your own charge, and you want him to keep that charge up because you want him to get taunt as much as he can. So he has some really good debuffs. And then here, 330 physical damage to an enemy, dealing damage to a target with below 100% restores 35% charge to stim and rally. Super cool. But they got that caveat of 100% health. So in the beginning, when you're trying to keep your taunt up and everybody's still got shield, you want to stack. Now that penetration is on runes, this could make him, and it just came into my head, we stack that penetration on him, maybe that could help a little bit. But still, you can't reap the benefits of his kit, and he is broken, which I'll get into in the noob series when it comes, but I don't want to say it here. There's a little trick, but Stim's frustrating. His kit reads a lot better than he plays, in my opinion, and that's why I got him there. So my YouTube family, there is the next episode of Worst of First. I did, what was it, 70 through 61. So let me know. I think people might be a little bit upset with some of these. People might think I'm right on some of these. So let me know what you think about my list down in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for the support. Thank you for telling me I'm wrong and all these things, and it makes me laugh. So I appreciate it all. And let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these characters. I'm pretty sure you will. Except I don't get a lot of agrees. I get a lot of disagrees. But I guess that's the point of making tier lists, right? So with that being said, I will talk to you on the next one. I love you. I'm out.